Welcome back to another episode of Register for Dinner. I'm your host, Sebastian Regester.
And I'm Paul Regester, back by popular demand.
And today we're making a classic Italian appetizer known as bruschetta. So stay tuned, and most importantly, Happy New Year.
Well, the first thing we're going to do to make this classic Italian appetizer is to have a nice loaf of bread, and we're going to cut it on a bias. We're going to cut it maybe a ½ inch so that you have a piece like this.
And then, Dad, do you want to tell them what bruschetta actually means?
I would if I knew.
Doesn't bruschetta actually mean just toast?
Yeah, it means toast. We're going to put this on a grilling basket and drop it into the air fryer.
And get it nice and toasted.
Take a fresh tomato. Ideally, we would be using Italian tomatoes, but they were not available. And Sebastian, if you would, chop me about a ½ cup or so of red onion.
Absolutely.
I often cook with a cleaver. I got used to doing it, and I like it better than most of the time than with a knife. Using a cleaver saves you a little time in that you also have a tool to pick up the chopped material, and you can put it right into the bowl.
Bruschetta is honestly one of my favorite things to eat. It's like an Italian salsa, which I think Dad already said already, but just to reiterate, it's fantastic, super easy to make, quite cheap actually, only requires just a few ingredients, and it will really impress your family and friends. All right.
Okay, you have the onions ready?
Onions are cut. Let's get our glass bowl over here.
Well, I tell you what, to save some time, I'm just going to put those right in there. To that, we're going to add the chopped tomatoes, and I still have a little bit of tomato. Waste not, want not.
To be exact, we have 2 tomatoes in this recipe. So half of a red onion and 2 tomatoes.
This is a rustic dish, so don't spend a lot of time trying to get everything cut exactly as, the same dimensions. The next thing we're going to add, and by the way, when you're doing this, it's no particular order. I have basil, and I'm going to roll it up, and I'm going to cut this in what's called chiffonade. So you roll it up into a tight bundle, and then finally chop it. This smells so good.
I know, the smell, the moment you cut into the basil, it's crazy. It's just so aromatic. Perfect.
Okay.
And then I think we're going to take a couple tablespoons of some capers. I'm using smaller capers. You can use larger ones if you like.
Now, capers are not traditional in all bruschettas, but I really like the flavor. It gives it it just kicks it up a notch.
And it adds a little bit of a saltiness, so you don't have to over-salt this because you have the capers and you have the Parmesan cheese, which my dad is about to add to the mix, so you don't want to go crazy with the salt.
This is freshly grated Parmesan, and we're going to use about 3/4 of what we have in here, and I would estimate that we probably have about a cup in here, maybe a touch less. The rest I'm going to save for garnish.
Get some freshly ground black pepper. Sounds like a bomb's about to go off back there with that timer. There, let's do.
The biggest problem with making bruschetta or any of the things is not burning the bread.
Yes, I have a tendency of burning bread. I will cook an amazing meal, and it comes down to the bread, forget about it, and I burn it.
I can't tell you how much garlic bread that I have screwed up over the years. Okay, a pinch of salt. You don't need as much as you would normally think because you have the capers in there.
And the cheese as well.
Yes. Olive oil. You want to put in a fair amount of olive oil because the olive oil is going to be absorbed into the bread, which really makes it nice.
A little bit more, Dad?
Yeah, just a little bit more. And then finally, a splash of balsamic vinegar. This is not necessary. This is a sort of an upgrade that we've done. That's plenty. We'll taste this as we go along to make sure it's seasoned properly. Okay.
Go ahead and give this a nice mix.
Right.
It smells wonderful. Honestly, I love the balsamic. Like my dad said, it is optional. You don't have to put it in there. It just adds a nice little touch of sweetness. When you have a lot of salty things like the cheese, the capers, the salt in general, you need a little sweetness to kind of cut through that richness. I mean, a good chef always tastes, right?
Not with the same spoon. Nah, don't put that back in there. What are you, crazy?
It's just us.
Oh. That's true, it is just us. Let's see, yeah, the consistency is good. Now, ideally, you would make this about an hour or so before you put it on the bread to let all the flavors harmonize. But as soon as the bread is done, we're ready to finish this quick appetizer up.
Just like that.
Yep.
Like clockwork. Perfectly toasted, if I may add as well.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, then the last thing we're going to do after these cool off a little bit is we're going to take fresh raw garlic and we're just going to rub it onto the bread. The bread acts as almost like a sandpaper. Okay.
And it's not going to be over the top garlicky, but there will be a hint of garlic. You will definitely pull out some garlic flavors in this bread. And actually what this is too is just a traditional garlic bread. Back in the day, this is how people just made garlic bread.
Yeah.
So this is as about as authentic as it can get, with the exception of the bread that we're using. It's not from Italy, but it's as close as we can find.
God, that smells good.
Yeah.
All right, then we're just going to load this up. And don't be afraid to pile it on. We should have had another spoon.
I can grab another spoon.
Again, this is rustic, so don't go too nuts trying to make it look perfect. Then to finish it up, we're going to take a little bit of parmesan, a couple cracks of pepper on top.
Absolutely.
And a leaf or two of basil. And there you have it.
Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Like always, my name's Sebastian Regester.
My name is Paul Regester.
And this is Regester for Dinner. If you enjoyed today's video and can't wait for us to cook something else, make sure you smash that like button as always, comment below, and subscribe. But until next time, stay hungry, my friends.